IRC Media brings you the first source you can watch for truth on board decisions in Indian River County. The Board Report, where taxpayers and policymakers intersect. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite platform to get notified when we go live on Fridays at 7 p.m. Visit IndianRiverConnections.com for more.
There we are.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Board Report that comes on every Friday at 7 p.m. Right, John?
Yep. Welcome back. We appreciate it. Brought to you by IRC Media, our conglomerate of podcasts that come together and bring some authentic truths.
Yeah. We've got Jennifer Pippin in the backstage, and we've got Thomas Augustus. We're going to talk about, school choice. Anastasia, we love him, how he sends that message across the board. Florida's #1 in the state, in the country, as far as education goes. And that's really, really, really great because we've had so many people in our county working so hard to advance our schools.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we got a big announcement from Jennifer and her new venture too. I'm looking forward to hearing about that and getting involved and being a part of that and helping her to take it to new heights.
Yeah, so let's switch over to the commercial and we'll be back with Jennifer Pippin and Thomas Augustus.
Nice.
There's a kind of strength you can't buy or borrow. It's born in the fire, tempered by sacrifice, and carried by those who never stopped serving. Some heroes wear uniforms. Others wear scars. They're veterans, first responders, and Gold Star families. Men and women who gave everything and still keep giving. At the Warrior Shield Foundation, we stand beside them, shoulder to shoulder, providing the support, the care, and the community they deserve. We're a proud non-profit, a 501c3, built to protect those who protect us. We don't just serve our own. We help other non-profits reach their missions too, because together, we make the Shield stronger. Donate and help our cause, help their cause, because every act of kindness builds hope where the battle still rages inside. Join the mission. Donate today. Visit warriorshield.org, because heroes deserve a foundation as strong as their sacrifice.
Hey, y'all.
Welcome back, everybody.
I'm sorry, I'm reading the crawl up here from the National Weather Service, so I love it.
That's all Mike's doing there, buddy.
It should be September if we're reading like weather warnings. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. And we'll have that next. We'll have the Weather Channel soon. Don't worry.
Oh my gosh, that'll be fun.
Yeah, we're going to do it. We already have Gun Stuff TV is one of our new ones. So that's one of our new podcasts that we got to be able to stream. So check them out if you guys get a chance. All our audience out there. It's a good Gun Stuff TV. Yeah, they're all over TV channels, and we have them exclusively on YouTube now. So they're not on YouTube, only through IRC Media.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. They run a rigorous program where people come out and they do like this run, like a triathlon with your firearms, and they tested on it. It's really cool. I was watching some of their videos.
Yeah, so check them out.
Sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, we got a lot of stuff coming, so it's going to be exciting.
Oh, I love anything that's pro Second Amendment.
right?
So, Jennifer, everybody's been at suspense. They really want to know what's going on and what's this new endeavor of yours. And, we're all ready to jump behind you and support it and make it just fly. So, tell us a little about it.
Sure. Thank you again so much for having me on. I love being on with you guys and doing this. I think it's so important for the community in an election year. So, yeah. So making a shift from Moms for Liberty, the national organization, to Family First Indian River County. We always talk about local. We talk about grassroots. We want to stay local. We want to do that. Advocate. At the state level if needed. You guys know over the past 6 years we have had to do that in some instances when people are getting kicked out of board meetings or things are slipping through the cracks. And really, really excited, have had great momentum with this already. Everybody ready to make the shift. So we're going to be doing the same thing as we're doing before, like no changes. We're going to have a monthly meeting. We're still going to the school board meetings, paying attention to what's going on in the schools. So much is going to be changing in the next year with, moving schools around and things like that. They're going more to like K-8 schools and bringing the flick to the Vero Beach High School. So there's going to be so much going on. Elections, we have 3 school board seats up this year. Jackie Rosario's seat, Jean Posca's seat, Terry Barenborg's seat. And like I said at the school board meeting on Monday, if all 3 incumbents get back in, this is the last term that they could run. So we would have 3 new school board members in 2030. So that's huge. I mean, there's going to be so much going on. So
Plus,
really
we get a new
exciting.
one in 2028 because Peggy Jones's last term is now.
Yep, exactly. Yep. And then too, so yeah, so it's gonna be a lot of changes and it has to be changed. Even if these people get back on in time, they can only do a certain amount of terms. So really excited. We've put out emails, we've changed our social medias over. We're just waiting on the page name for our public page. We're in Facebook jail because all of the liberals report our posts, and every time we say, hey, this book's in schools, they report it. And so we're on a risk factor or something, right, Thomas? So we can't change it for
I
like
never
30 days.
understand what we
Yeah.
can and cannot do anymore.
Right. It's every time somebody reports it, we get put at risk, and then we can't do like a live video or we can't change stuff. So which is fine, whatever. People see it with the logo. But really, really excited. So next month, February, a couple days away, our next meeting is we're going to have like a reorganization meeting. So hey, like if you guys want to join us, if we want to keep doing what we're doing, any new ideas, and then we're going to start in March having candidates come to our meetings so we can have smaller impact and asking direct questions and having follow up if everybody doesn't get to ask their questions, and have every single candidate that's running for office here locally, whether it's city council, county commission, sheriff race was last year, so we won't have that, school board, anybody who is running, to be able to talk to them and have that intimate conversation with them and ask them those hard questions and have hard conversations. And so this way we could be better voters. But Thomas, what have you heard as far as feedback and things that you want to see done with Family First in New River County?
Well, I think it's business as usual for us. It always has been, even during the election cycles. Moms for Liberty wasn't much in supporting candidates directly. I think we got more support in 2022 than the candidates did in 2024, other than the endorsements themselves. And so there's that. We are small again. We're not tied to any national organization in that regard, but that's fine. For those who don't know, I mean, I'm the Sunshine Journal, but I'm policy and media director for Family First Indian River County and was for Moms for Liberty. People knew that. Some people did, some people didn't. I didn't go out announcing it all the time. But anyway, just so you know. And so I think it's going to be great. Actually, a lot more people are now getting involved because the press really did a number on Moms for Liberty in terms of attaching a stigma to it, even though it was doing a lot of righteous school stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's just because people are, philosophically ignorant when it comes to politics. They don't understand what liberty truly means sometimes. There's a lot of responsibility to it. And we're seeing that in places like Minnesota where, liberty is lawlessness. No, that's not how it works. So what we've done in the last 5 years at Jennifer's leadership and leadership by like people who've been with us in the past, like Chris and Rick Allen and May Asensio and all these different people, Lamar Giacomo, all these different people who've just fought and fought and fought and fought and really transformed the language of school debate. That's what happened in this county. The language is transformed. And then specific things happened at the most opportune time. And I go back to that great meeting of August 28, 2023, when Reverend John Amachuku came and got thrown out and 20 million people watched it on the internet. When that stuff like that happens, it's because people every day came every month and laid that groundwork for this to take place, We
It was really a beautiful thing because we got to see everybody when they first came in. Like Jennifer, when you first started this, you were so green. You were like, I've got the fight in me. We've got to do something about it. And you just got up there and you crawled out of your normal box of where you're used to being and started speaking. But as time went on, your articulation became so more targeted. And when you went up there, you didn't just talk about topics, but you brought facts with you and you learned the statutes and you played those statutes out. But you also remembered to congratulate them for the good things they did. And I just thought it was amazing to see the transformation and how well you became as a speaker for moms and kids and families. You've grown to be a great leader. And Thomas, the piece that you wrote on Jennifer was a timeline pretty much of how things played out. And we can see the fruition of it all. Moms for Liberty is no longer together, but the fight goes on under Family First.
Yeah, well, and Moms for Liberty is the people in Moms for Liberty. And Jennifer, speak to this because when Moms for Liberty started, it was about the local volunteer, was it not?
That's right. So I urge everybody to read the Sunshine Journal article that we're talking about in full. It'll take you maybe 3 to 5 minutes. You can do that while you're having a cup of coffee or eating a sandwich, right? So you can kind of see, because it's so hard to go back 6 years and then 5 years to see where we were born. So you'll read in Thomas's article, when Tiffany Justice and I first had the conversation in December of 2020 in the heat of COVID, we discussed just having it in Florida. So having 67 counties, which would be 67 chapters of Moms for Liberty. We never talked about anything going national. And I was like, oh, Florida, we got this. Like, we know our state, we know our local laws, we know our state laws. We could totally do this. And I could totally help 66 other people and their chapters, just kind of get the parental rights going, even further, with Moms for Liberty. And, they were already working on the parental rights law, Patty Sullivan with.
Were you guys aware of that?
Yes, I met Patty Sullivan at one of the Moms for Liberty because she came to those meetings also and would share the parental rights.
My question is, when you guys first started in December 2020 and those talking about were you aware of how close they were with parental rights, the Parental Bill of Rights becoming law, the Parents' Bill of Rights, or were you just hoping?
Yeah. So Thomas, if you read the article that you wrote, okay.
I forget what I write sometimes. It's,
No, actually Patty Sullivan came to a school board meeting.
Oh yes,
and
I remember
she sat behind me. So now, back in the day, remember, John, we had meetings twice a month, and now it's once a month because less people can speak and show up if it's once a month, right? Exactly. So Patty Sullivan sat behind me in a school board meeting, and we were social distancing at that point. So she had to stretch all the way in front of her and grab me, and she handed me a parental rights book and said, hey, I'm Patty Sullivan with Parental Rights Florida. We need to talk. And it was in the middle of a school board meeting. So I turned around and I was like, okay. And she handed me this book. So I'm literally looking through this booklet, and she's been one of my best friends ever since. Like, we talked on the phone that night after the school board meeting, and I was like, oh my gosh, you've been doing this for forever, and she is like the queen of legislation. So if I ever have any legislation questions or how do we do this, when the whole book thing was going on, how do we make this a law? Patty Sullivan was my go-to. She is the queen. I mean, she's the queen of parental rights. Her and Aaron Grawl in our county, we're so blessed to have them. And that's what I've noticed with this journey is everybody has their strengths and their weaknesses. And I think the biggest thing for me is you have to bring with you and capitalize on the people's strengths. So like Thomas, his strength is the policy, the media, getting into the weeds of some of this stuff. John, when he was coming to every school board meeting, he was that powerhouse that when he spoke, everybody listened and you couldn't hear a pin drop.
Yep.
Joanne, when you were coming, do you remember when we were sitting with Lamar and the whole book thing was going on and Lamar scribbled on a piece of paper, rape is never okay, because they were discussing a book and Mara Schiff was saying how it was okay because this happens to children. So you have to capitalize and you have to take people's strengths. So not everybody can go and speak at a school board meeting. So you can't have that as a call to action, right? The people who can, you bring them in. The people who can maybe get more people to join, or the people who are going to knock doors for our candidates. If that's their strength, that's what you do. And that's what I've learned along the way is when people say, hey, I want to help and I want to do this, or how can I help? My first question is, what do you want to do? What do you feel comfortable doing? What should we be doing? And utilize them, because not everybody is, cookie cutter for going and speaking at a school board meeting, or going, like Patty with legislation, and just really finding all the people that want to help and put them in those, positions to be able to, further parental rights and save children. So that's one of the biggest things I've learned along the way. And that's why I think our local, organization has been so effective, because we are taking the people and doing what they want to do and what they're good at, and utilizing, everybody who says that they want to come and help.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's been so successful, and it doesn't end there. It's great to see that you pulled away and everybody's coming with you. The organization is actually still there. It's just under a different name.
That's right. Yeah, we lost one person because I didn't know she moved to Georgia over the holidays. And she said, hey, Jen, take me off the email list. I don't live there anymore. I know you guys are doing the local stuff, but we're still friends. But she's just not on our email list and in our group because she doesn't live in the state anymore. So
Maybe
we lost one. We lost one out of almost
maybe she'll start it over there in Georgia.
Right.
Family First, Georgia.
Yeah, so we know we've got some sound bites here that I'd like to play, Anastasia, on the One Big Beautiful Bill regarding school choice. So let's go over to that and hear what he has to say, and then we can comment on that.
Builds on that momentum by further strengthening our already robust school choice programs through the One Big Beautiful Bill that President Trump introduced and signed. There is a new federal tax credit scholarship that is designed to expand educational options without using public spending. And so this will supplement our state's program. I want to commend the President and Secretary McMahon for implementing this, as well as dismantling the bureaucracy that is the United States Department of Education. And by opting into this program, Florida will now enable more low-income families to pursue private schools, homeschooling options, and other educational opportunities that best meet their child's needs. The more that we're able to fund these families, the more it seems like a likely opportunity for their child to benefit from school choice. Today's announcement builds on that momentum by further strengthening our already robust school choice programs through the One Big Beautiful Bill that President Trump introduced and signed. There is a new federal tax credit scholarship that is designed to expand educational options without using public.
There you go.
Okay, so I wanted to ask you a question on that, Jennifer, because I wanted to know, because he said it doesn't use public spending. So then where's the money coming from, if that's what he's saying? Do we know?
That's a good question. Thomas, are you sure about that?
Say the question again, I'm sorry.
Where's the money coming from? He said it doesn't use public spending.
It's a federal tax credit. That's what he said in the thing, right?
Yeah, but isn't...
Look, credits...
Where does money come from?
Look, I'm sorry, wherever there is a credit, there's a debit. That's why we have debit cards.
So it is
You know
coming
what I
out of
mean?
our, it is
It's
coming
coming
out
out
of
of
the public
something.
funds.
It's
Yeah.
coming out of somewhere, but
Part of me wonders if it's coming since they're downsizing the federal Department of Education. Maybe that money that was maybe going to I'll have to,
NGOs.
yeah, that's what I was thinking. NGOs or paid people or stipends or benefits of those federal
Ilhan
people.
Omar.
I'll have to look into that for sure, Joanne.
Yeah,
But
because I was curious about that because I was like, well, didn't we all pay tax into all of that? So isn't it still our money?
right.
It is, and I just want to see the Department of Education closed. Obviously, I think it's going to take an act of Congress, and so you are seeing a reorganizational effort that's going to be very spendthrift. And part of the spendthrift is well, if we can, let's put all the money in the form of credits in this case back to the people. Let the people use it, at least those who have students in school systems, because it allows, obviously, like he said here, allows for them to do certain things with school choice that they haven't done before. So I get it. It is what it is. And like I said, it's not going to all these teachers unions to fund DEI, SEL, CRT, and all the other wokish crud that went on. Ilhan Omar isn't scamming $30 million out of it now or whatever. And all this other stuff that's been happening. Trump said if we just got all the fraud out of the federal government, we'd balance the budget, because he's looking at most of it being about $500 billion. That's insane.
Yeah, that's a lot of
A
money.
large amount of money.
And I think it's even higher than that. I've heard in other places. So, but start at $500 billion. We'll just start at $500 billion. That's not a lot.
Well, we're hearing about all the fraud that they're finding everywhere,
Exactly.
in Minneapolis, the Somali fraud, and now H1B visa fraud. Sarah Gonzalez on X is finding that, so we've got another soundbite where the reporter is asking him this question: do we trust the parents to use it? And I kind of know where she's going with that, because if you can call yourself a religious organization and say you have a school, you can get that money. And that's kind of like what's happening in Somalia. They're pretending to be schools and getting money. So let me play this soundbite real quick, Thomas.
On the benefits of school choice is the Commissioner of the Florida Department of Education, Anastasios Kamoutsas. Thank you so much for joining us, sir. So first of all, tell us why Florida decided to opt into this program.
Yeah, thank you for having me here. It's great to be here as we wrap up National School Choice Week and we talk about educational freedom and opportunities. I was proud to be able to join Governor Ron DeSantis this week as Florida announced we would be opting into the federal tax credit scholarship that will provide an additional supplement and affordability for low-income families to be able to send their child to one of these school choice options. And so here in the state of Florida back in 2023, Governor DeSantis championed full universal school choice. Our families are receiving about $8,000 to $9,000 in scholarships to go to private schools. This funding now will supplement that and help these low-income students be able to see private school as a real opportunity. So I commend President Trump and Secretary McMahon in implementing this affordable option for families across the nation.
Okay, so walk us through how this would work. Is it as simple as getting an additional $1,700 in your tax refund that you then would trust parents to put towards their children's education?
That is correct, and that's what we do here in the state of Florida. I mean, we started off with a federal tax credit scholarship. We've now expanded to universal school choice. But we are seeing here in our state, we have about 2.8 million students across the state. 1.4 million students are benefiting from a school choice option, whether that's the 400,000 plus students at charter schools, the 530,000 plus students at a private school on a state scholarship, or the over 150,000 students in home schools. We know that parents are deciding what is the best educational option that fits their child's needs, and so this will provide that same opportunity for families across the country.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, and the issue, of course, with homeschooling, Catholic or private, has always been the cost of it. So this is hoping to alleviate a little bit of that burden. And I know this announcement was just made, but have you received any feedback from parents in the state and what they're saying about this?
Parents are extremely enthusiastic and supportive. Like I said, school choice in Florida, it's very popular. We continue to receive national rankings across the country, whether it's the American Legislative Exchange Council, the Heritage Foundation, the Parent Power Index. Florida ranks #1 in the nation when it comes to empowering our parents because they're able to now provide their child a true education, demonstrating proficiency in math and English and civics, not ideology and indoctrination that we saw in the past. And the results speak for themselves. Here in the state of Florida, our schools are improving. Last year, we were at 64% A and B schools. Now we're at 71% A and B schools. Our charter schools are at 77% A and B schools. And since the inception of universal school choice, we are seeing over 100,000 students are demonstrating. We have the highest graduation rate in our state's history at 92.2%. This is a state that has increased our robust, rigorous standards. We have recruited high-quality teachers, and we have focused on merit and achievement, and it is very popular with our parents here in the state.
Anastasia Skamoutsas, Commissioner of the Florida Department of Education, we appreciate you for joining us. Thank you so much.
So you saw that she threw
That's
that in
awesome.
there. You trust your parents. It's a great program,
Right.
but I see some loopholes where it could be taken advantage of.
Yeah. So I have the answer to your question, Joanne. So while we were watching that, because I saw that clip earlier, so I was like, I know what he's going to say. I went on to the federal DOE website, and what it is coming from, it's coming from existing federal K-12 education funding. So it's what is already in the federal bank, I guess, per se, is what they're now giving to the states, and those states that comply with the federal regulations, that's what they're getting. So like we have school choice here in Florida, right? So we have the voucher program where every single person on this podcast, every single person listening pays their taxes towards the public school, whether they have kids in school or not. But this voucher program, reimburses parents to put their children in, homeschool or private school or religious school. But regardless, they're still paying the taxes. So they're just getting that back. So what they're doing now is that on a federal level, so the federal bank that they have is going now to the states. And then the states are giving it to the parents that choose otherwise, but they still have to pay their taxes annually. So every single family contributes to public school, whether they have children or not. But just this tax credit will give those families a little bit more funds.
Very well. Thank you for that explanation.
Sure.
This is what happens when you have research. That's one thing that's always been consistent with Jennifer and the leadership, whether it was We the People, Indian River, Moms for Liberty, or now, is research and facts, because that's how you win the day when you're advocating. Emotional appeals go only so far, and a lot of the woke stuff is an emotional appeal based on, well, someone's not getting their fair share. Well, you know what? That's the story of life.
Thomas, that's equity, Thomas. You got to have equity. You have DEI. You got to throw it in there.
John, are you being sarcastic?
Well, listen, the school
What's
district
this, a
is
bit of
still
sarcasm?
dealing.
Social, emotional
Still-
learning, all that stuff,
Yeah, and here it is, the research, and look, we've gone from 38 to 5th, but look what he said about our schools. 64% A and B to 72%. That tells you something. We're trending the way our state is trending, or where the districts are trending across the state. Even the ones that have some C schools, they're slowly coming out of the mud. And so, that's a good thing. And it's that discipline, the rigor of instruction, and all those things. Say what you want about this stuff, but the reality is discipline and all these different things that we worked on for the last 5 years makes it easier for a guy who's as talented as Dr. Moore to actually implement strategies that get these outcomes. That's just the way it is.
Yep. That's it.
Yeah, and he still has a challenge with the NAACP.
Yeah.
They're still pushing the racism.
Well, and that argument is dying because his figures prove otherwise.
Yeah.
And just the school system itself is fully integrated.
They got a new judge, right?
Not a new judge. They have 2 new lawyers. So Amy Engdahl is going to be our attorney. Our board attorney now is going to take over the case, and she is a smart cookie.
She's
Or as
amazing.
Susan Mahill said, be done with this mess. Be done with this mess. Susan Mahill said, be done with this mess.
That's right. So, and then the Baker McKenzie firm where they had Jody Avia running the show. She's not running the show anymore. It's the Adrienne Harreveld, I think her name is. I believe she's the attorney who asked the question about the equity of bus stops. Can you give me the equity of a geographical location?
Right.
Yeah.
So where everybody can get on the bus and everybody can get off the bus. They're just
with equity.
Yeah. And it's funny because, Thomas talked about this at the school board meeting. So anybody who's watching, go back and watch a school board meeting. It's on YouTube on Monday.
Do you want me to read that thing?
Go ahead. Go for it. Yeah. While you get that.
Set it up for me.
Yeah. While you get it pulled up. So the NAACP, who is on, the opposite side of the school district and the majority of people, you have Tony Brown, who won't even have a conversation with most people. And he's so, blinders up. You have Michonne Green, which, Thomas is going to read what she said recently. And you have, who was the other guy that got fired for making sexist and racist remarks?
Kevin Browning.
So this is what we're up against. Literally, these three people and the lawyers and whoever else, comes in and out of their side. But literally, they don't want this to end. So hopefully with, new attorneys on the case, we can get through the mediation. We can get through all of this. I mean, this is Thomas's baby. But yeah, tell him what Mershon put publicly on Facebook.
Hold on a second. I might be able to pull it up for you.
You think she'd take her own advice and be done with this mess?
Well, I'm just going to read this to you because this is shocking to me. I read it, Jennifer said it to me. Now I'm going to set this up a little bit. This is October, after the October work group meeting. And they brought a case of some lady who was having issues. It's very complicated to explain. All that to say is that they ambushed the other side. Legally, with lawyers, when you bring evidence, you have to allow the other side some discovery. They didn't do that. They just ambushed them, and they're all like, well, we don't even know what you're talking about. Sort of. And then she goes, well, I told Ms. Christofoli, who was there. Ms. Christofoli said, well, honestly, you didn't tell me anything. You just said, can I represent this lady? So this is the kind of handed thing that's going on. And so afterwards, she says this on Facebook, October 29th at 1:20 in the afternoon. It's painful enough to see Black people keep their heads down and remain silent as discrimination persists within the system. But it's far more troubling when those who hold power within that same system become the ones driving and sustaining the very discrimination they once endured. Black students don't stand a chance in the school district of Indian River County because only a handful of Black administrators actually care about them. All others are clocking a check and tap dancing. SMH, as we know, means shaking my head. And you got 65 likes and all this stuff. And I'm like, this woman's crazy. She's basically accusing Miss Idolette, whose father brought the case with his two sons, and rightfully so, of this, and also Dennis Hart, who's on the other side.
Wow.
Now, she didn't name names, but those are the names that she was speaking to when this was done.
Isn't that disgusting?
I would love to know how.
They're not arguing in good faith.
I would like to know how Idolette feels about that.
She probably couldn't speak openly to it, to be honest with you.
You don't know. I wish people would, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what we're up against. So hopefully this is the year that we finally stop going with this mess, plug it in.
I mean, Idolette, I don't know Idolette. I heard she's a fantastic human being.
She is.
But via email,
very reasonable.
When I had inquired about a bus route and teachers' remarks about The buses are overcrowded in our little town because of the Trump administration. Um,
Yeah.
she didn't deny it. She didn't come right out and say it, but she did say in some way or another, all things are connected. So I don't know this idolette personally, but that really wasn't the right answer for me. But I left it alone.
Yeah,
Well,
if Trump comes to Fellsmere and he's running your buses or not paying your buses, please let me know because I would love to get Thomas on that article and I'll take
Right.
picture.
Yeah, that's what I was like,
come
what the
on,
hell did I mean,
come on, man. You can't blame Trump for everything. There's a point in your
they
mind
do.
where people got to take responsibility. At least blame their local government.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. This is
Yeah,
just
blame your
these are
bosses.
these
I
are
mean,
just absurd. And she gets the thing about her is if you request transportation, you get transportation.
You
There's
do.
no way around it. You
Yep.
get
right.
it.
Even if it's not the zone for your school. I mean, if
Exactly.
you live in South Vero and your child wants to go to Sebastian River High School, they have a route for that, or
They will
vice
get
versa. Like
yeah,
they
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 will
will.
get them there if they have to utilize the GO line bus stops.
They will.
It might suck, but if you want your kid to go cross county, they'll give you transportation. Same with the sports. Like I know they don't do all the sports here in Fellsmere, and with some of these new reorganizations of schools, but they will. Same with the charter schools. They'll take you from a charter school and put you in sports and give you transportation if you need it. So I give them all the credit in the world. I mean,
It's
the
and
school,
it's that just to your point, Mike, it's part of being a choice district, a full choice district. And they said to supplement, they don't, there's some things in transportation they do not have to do, but they are doing it because they want to maintain the full choice district. And Ms. Idlette has done that to the best of her ability and not refused anyone. So that's perfection in my book.
And
well,
that the bus scheduling is really hard. When I worked for the school district, you have only so many buses that you operate, and then you have to do the elementary schools, you have to do the high schools, the middle schools. That's why they were always trying to fluctuate the times. Do we have later times, do we have earlier times? Everything meshes. And then for field trips, or if you have classes in the middle school where they have to go to another school for band or an event. I mean, it's really not an easy thing to balance out. And before, the school district never did that. If you were out of the district, or if you brought your kid, or your kid was half of Florida virtual school or what, you had to figure out how to get your kid to school. Now they
no.
accommodate everybody to make sure everybody has that opportunity to go to school, to be in band, to go to their sports, to be there. And I think they've done a huge advancement. And for her to just act like the schools never made any changes and Black kids are, suffering, give me a break. Like Gifford Middle School, when I first moved here in 2004 and I got on the bus and found out my kid was going to Gifford Middle School, I had not known anything about Gifford. I'm sitting on this bus, a green mom to Indian River County, and I get off of what is it, 43rd Avenue, and it makes a right turn to go to Gifford, and all of a sudden I'm in the middle of Harlem, and I'm like, what? We have a middle school right down the road from where I live. Why are my kids going to this middle school? And it was all about the desegregation order where they had to have 25% of the kids, in a different school. Each school had to have at least 25% of these kids moved into them. And I was like, what? Because I came from New York where I never dealt with any deseg stuff. I never even imagined that in 2004 there was a school district still dealing with desegregation. So the school has come a long way. I mean, Oslo Middle School over here, which it was in a predominantly white neighborhood, is feeding kids is 75% free lunch in a
Yep.
predominantly white neighborhood, and I'm like, well, they aren't balancing out the desegregation if a school that's in a really nice neighborhood is 75%, you know, free lunch. That's telling me that you're not balancing it out right. But it just
Well,
The school,
demographics change, and so you know, Tony Tony Brown said something very telling at one of those DSEG workshops. He goes, we fought for the wrong thing. We should have fought for equity instead of equality. I was like, what?
but the school has come a long way. It really has. And desegregation, there is no desegregation. I mean, there is no segregation in the school. Even with the teachers, we have such a diverse group of teachers. We've got Spanish teachers, we've got Asian teachers, we've got teachers that are from Jamaica. And, I mean,
They're fifth in this state.
yeah, it's so
They're
diverse, and
great
for them to
teachers.
sit there and act like it's not, it's sad. It's a sad fight, and it's Brown's legacy. He's like, I'm gonna die being the one that stopped segregation, that stopped before I even had to stop it. It's
No,
been
he'll be
over
he'll
for
be he'll be
decades.
he'll be dead before then, so it won't matter. That's the thing.
It's he's
It's the
hanging
one.
on to something that's
Well,
not
no, he's
there.
hanging on. He's hanging on to the old world, and that old
Mhm.
world is dying. That world is dead, and he doesn't see that yet. So, unfortunately, he's going to go down with the ship. Like he always says, "You can't throw the baby out with the bathwater." That's his favorite line. You can't throw out the baby with the bathwater. It's the same old. It's the same old rhetoric, and it doesn't work anymore. And so, unfortunately, he's going to have to embarrass himself to the point where it's going to go to the end, and eventually he's going to lose, or he won't be here anymore. That's all.
Well, it's the crazy thing about all this is the reason desegregation was started was correct. And the people who are still fighting it here, at least, haven't realized they won.
Well, that's the thing. Exactly. That's the whole point. Like I said, he doesn't realize that he can walk away and be like, "That's it, we're done. Like we
We have
won."
a victory.
He does. He
Mhm.
wants to be able to plant his flag and say and show victory instead of just taking it as a
Well, the
victory.
fight will never be over for them
Exactly.
because
Right.
there's always going to be that suppression
Exactly.
somewhere,
100%.
somehow.
You know
There's
where
gonna
that
it's like
Well, yeah,
job security.
well, that exists
The
in his
goalpost,
mind, Mike. It exists up here. That's it. It doesn't exist outside the world. It exists in his mind. That's
I
all.
think
yeah,
you're right, John. He has like PTSD from the
Yeah.
past that he
Yeah.
hasn't let go.
Yeah,
He
hundred
needs.
percent. It's trauma. It's actually trauma. If you remember the time when the guy came to the meeting the one time. What's the black gentleman's name? The tall guy that's always there, Jennifer, and he spoke one time. And remember, he
he's the
said, "Hey,
pastor, correct?
what was
Yeah,
it?"
Pastor
Yeah,
Ash. What's his name? He's tall. He went all over the country.
I can't remember, but he remember he came and he was speaking at school meeting Jennifer, and he was like, "They called me," and he said he slammed and he hit his hand on the thing, and he said the
Anthony
N word.
Stewart, I think. Is it
Yeah,
Anthony Stewart? Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and he got all like upset, like and he just it's all trauma that he remembered. He remembered when he went to the school and they called him the N word, and it just
Hmm.
the trauma sticks with them, and they can't dissolve the trauma and say, you know what, that was then. This is different now. It's a different
Right.
world now. So we did win. It is desegregated. We did accomplish it, but they won't do it because they need to wrap their head around the fact that they need to have that win. It needs to be in the press that we won, and that's it. It's over.
you
Well, all they have to do is declare victory.
That's it.
That's the
Exactly.
thing.
but
And the
they
other way you
won't.
can
It's
declare victory is by you forgive the past,
Hmm.
and you then you can see really what is happening. You can
Exactly.
see that Dr. Moore and his team and all the educators have shrunk the achievement gap, and they're working towards it.
Yeah, but this
School's
is all
totally
based.
integrated. The kids aren't racist. All these
Yeah,
different
but
things, you'll be able to see it when you let go.
No, they
But
need to
that's
feel
that's
it.
assuming though they have morals. Scroll their
Well, I think
timeline.
anybody would obviously believe.
Right, but if you scroll their timelines, that's what I've been doing, and it's the ignorance is plastered all over their public profiles.
100%.
They're not going to declare a victory. They're not ever going to
No, they want to
fall in
fight. They
line,
want to hurt
especially
back.
when you
It's
have
trauma.
Don
Oh,
Lemon out there
it's trauma.
blaming the people in the church for being white,
It's trauma.
having a problem with what they did. Like it's
And Christian.
right. Who he claims to be, but this is like embedded in the media, in the culture, music, everything. There's always going to be that suppression, and you see them quiet down a little bit when they're going after the brown people, but uh, it's just it's that selective outrage, like John always likes to say,
Yep.
and they know exactly where the right keynotes that will pull the emotions
Yep.
of the masses, and they're never going to declare a victory. Give them everything.
No,
Well,
I
it
think
becomes
they just want to
political. It
hurt
becomes
back.
political rather than what is really taking place. And
Right.
that's selective outrage is to set up the narratives that you're talking about, you know. And right
It's
now, the
either
narrative in Minneapolis is ICE is bad, but it's like Gutfeld said to Tarlov the other day. I've got 3 pages of women who've died in the last 7 years at the hands of illegal aliens, and you never cared. You never said so. You know, I don't care anymore what you think because you are the queen of double standard, and
yeah.
that's what this is. It's become this. You know, just like when we were talking about the transportation again, and the bus stops, and so someone has to get picked up first somewhere, right? And then they go all the way through the whole route and get to the school. And then it became a question of, well, are the black kids getting picked up first, or is a black kid getting picked up first? Because now he's on the bus, or he or she is on the bus longer than anybody else. Therefore, they're not being treated with equity. I'm like, are you serious? Any bus route is linear. It doesn't matter where it starts, whether it has 1 stop or 50.
Somebody's going to be the last person to get off.
So
It's going to be the last
for
person
these,
to get off and the first person to get on in the morning. That's just the way it works. And
I'm
it'll never
convinced.
change. You can't.
Yeah.
Such a stupid
But these
argument.
people, like a Marshawn Green, like a Don Lemon, like a Brown, and all them, they're either ignorant or they're have bad intentions.
Trauma.
Yeah.
They
Right,
have
they have
bad
trauma.
intentions. They want to hurt back. It doesn't care who it is. The fact that you are an image of what hurt them in the past, that hate
What
carries over to you, and they want to hurt you
and what
for what
and what is
happened
the
in the past.
and what is the definition of trauma? Trauma is exactly that. If you were sexually abused or verbally abused, what do you want? What do you actually want back? You want to get revenge. You want to get back at that person. It's the same thing. You lash back because of the trauma, because it sticks with you. So you have no other choice but to lash out, because at some point during their times in their lives, whether Marcia Green or whoever, they've had trauma when it came to black and white or some kind of racist situation, and they don't forget it. And so it sticks with them. And it sticks with them so hard that they don't know how to forgive and let go. Like you said, Thomas, eventually, if you forgive and let go, then you declare victory. You forgive yourself and you forgive the other people.
And then you can heal.
Exactly.
Is that a trait of narcissism, or is narcissism
Yes.
a trait of
That's
that?
just a trait of fallen man.
Yeah, but it is
We're
a trait.
all we can all become victims of our own.
Right.
Everybody has trauma. It just depends on the situation and
How
what
you
it,
handle it.
how hard it holds on it. It could be sexual, verbal, physical abuse, whatever. It's trauma at some point. And like you said, Mike, that's exactly it. It does spark narcissism behavior, because you have to lash out and you have to protect your own self, your own self.
Defense mechanism against shame.
Bingo. Yeah, but what's the worst? What's the 3 lowest frequencies on the planet? Fear, guilt, and shame. You either have some shame, you feel guilty, or you had some kind of situation happen to where you got shamed. That's all. That's all it is. And that's, once they realize that, then they'll able to declare victory. But some people, the key word is they're not capable of it.
Yeah,
If you're
I
not
don't think
So we're
he's capable.
psychoanalyzing everybody now.
Yeah. Well, that's the reality of it. That's what you're battling. These lawyers are battling that. They're not really battling desegregation. They're battling trauma with the people that are in those meetings. You're battling their self-preservation of trauma.
Yeah, I really think that, because you could love Brown, you could be his
Yeah.
friend, you could do all the nice things, but as long as you are an image of what hurt him in the past, he is always going to see that in you. He'll be nice to you, he'll talk to you, but the
100%.
minute he gets challenged with something that he feels is prejudiced, or he's going to see that person that hurt him in the past in you, and his goal is going to be to get you back, because you
100%.
owe him. It's kind of like this reparations stuff. Why do we owe you guys reparations? We weren't even around then.
We weren't even
You
there.
know?
Never thought that.
Because that's another made-up scenario. It's another selective outrage. You just pick a subject and be outraged by it. That's all. It's very simple. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you guys talk about the governor yet?
No, I'm just looking at that logo behind Django. That thing's the coolest.
I was just doing the same thing. I was like, that's very good.
Looks great.
The governor was in Vero Beach today. I didn't even
That's right.
know until hours afterwards.
Oh, I was there.
I was there.
Yeah, we have actually clip. This was at the Heritage Foundation, right?
Yeah, play
Heritage
that clip,
Center. The
Mike.
foundation's in D.C.
Play that clip, Mike. I moved it around a little bit. Play that clip.
Is America 250, and we. Good deal. We got any questions back there? Yes.
Thomas from the Sunshine Journal. George Washington often referred to the press as scribbling idiots. And, you know, it was very partisan in his day, and the press as being part of the First Amendment. And the 250 celebration, how do you look at the press today? We see like some organizations actually promoting these protests against the current administration and stuff like that. But how do you see Palm USA today? How do you see the press today, and how will Florida celebrate this right that we have of freedom of press?
Well, I think it's interesting because the founding. You're right. I mean,
I was going to stop it
basically
right there.
Hamilton had a newspaper, Jefferson
You're
had a
right.
newspaper, and they were basically just at each other's throats. I mean, they didn't have it was, but it's representative of those two wings in the early republic, and they were very nasty. And in a lot, honestly, the founders dealt with a lot nastier stuff than we do now. Even though it's gotten coarse in our day, but that was really nasty. But I think the founders. So what did they mean by the press? The core thing was like when they had the American Revolution. What were they doing? They were printing pamphlets talking about natural rights, talking about not having a king, talking about taxation without representation, protesting some of these things. And so they would go, they'd print, and then they'd disseminate. And that was like the core way that they could communicate with a lot of different people. And so the core of that was always just regular citizens being able to speak and being able to carry their message out to educate and influence their fellow citizens. I think somehow that's kind of evolved where there are certain people that think that if you're press and you work for the New York Times, so you have special rights over the rest of the public. That's not what the founding fathers said. Your right to print something out and disseminate it is every bit as robust as whatever right a New York Times reporter would have to write and do it. 26.
I wonder if Sheriff Eric Flowers was paying attention at that moment.
He was in the front row.
Yeah,
Was he really?
I'm going to be in the front row.
So was Del Toro from St. Lucie County, the sheriff there. And
Love Del Toro.
all the elected officials were right up front, and it was nice that Jackie was up there. And yeah, there was a lot of elected officials there, and the room was full, standing room only.
Was the whole
Wow.
city council there?
Yes.
Vero Beach City Council, yes.
Even
Except the John guy, District 4. What's his name?
Or
Dingle, Coutinho, Voss,
Carol?
Moore.
And I don't think John Carroll was there. I didn't
John
see
Carroll
him.
wasn't there.
Carroll?
I think he was there.
whatever
Linda Moore
happened.
was there. Linda Moore was in the elected officials.
David Dyer was there with.
David, yep.
So whatever happened with the Moore case and the AG?
Well, that's a great question because after it got transferred to the felony division of the Attorney General's office, it kind of fell off. So every 6 weeks, I put a little thing on my phone to remind me to ask. I asked in October. I was told by the person handling the felony part of it, I guess, she was behind and she was going to get to it. I sent another email in December, haven't heard anything. I need to send another email. The last thing I heard was it was transferred to the felony division, and I haven't heard anything since, unfortunately.
So for people who might not have been following us for the last year and a half or up to date with the Vero Beach drama, Linda Moore is vice mayor of Vero Beach, sits on the city council.
She's not vice mayor anymore. Dingle is.
Okay. Oh, that's great.
That's right. Through the
But she was vice mayor.
Yeah.
Correct.
She also owns an establishment downtown that gets special easement usage and was under fire for having
They pay via contract for that easement.
okay, so
Cheap, I can tell you that.
yeah, and she had the drag queen tea time or something like that.
Mhm.
Is it like at 4 o'clock?
All
Yeah.
ages welcome. Mhm.
Yeah, and it was pictures posted all over the internet, and it was just where I'm interested to see where that goes. Hopefully, it just doesn't
Yeah.
go away with all the other news.
Well,
But
she still
And
has
since then, too, I believe it was in December, the law got reinstated. So the law was on a federal hold. So when that whole thing happened, it was on a federal hold. Now the law, the state of
Right.
Florida won against all of the woke liberal, Hamburger Marys and all these other, places that want to have drag queen shows for children. I don't know why they can't just perform for adults and stay away from the children, but it is no longer on a federal hold. And I sent that information to the attorney that is taking care of the case, and crickets. So I'm hoping, wishing, and
Sure they
praying that
knew.
maybe, looking at that information, something will be done. But this was a month ago, so 2 months ago.
wow.
I'm sure they do.
hopefully, they follow through. So, who's up for election on that city council coming up? Is there an election for that city council
It's
coming up?
Moore and no, not Moore. I'm sorry. It's two people.
It's not Taylor Dingle because he just got reelected. It's not John Coutinho because he just got
Right.
reelected.
So it would be
No, it
John
is the three of
Carroll.
them. Then it's Carroll, Moore, and Voss.
Okay.
Right.
And then school board will be
Rosario, Pasca, and
So
Barron.
that's
Barenborg.
District
Barenborg.
1, 3, and 5.
Mhm.
4.
1, 3, and 4.
Oh,
And
1,
1,
3,
2,
and
and
County-
4.
No,
1,
1,
2.
1, 2, and 4?
There are
1,
5
2.
districts. 1, 2.
Oh, that's right, because Flesher is his.
Yes. Same thing with county commissioners, 1, 2, and 4.
Okay, so for county, it'll be Joe Flesher from Sebastian area, and then
Joe
Laura.
Ehrman,
Carroll,
right?
Lore, and
Joe Ehrman.
Daryl Lord.
No, not Ehrman. One is
And-
oh god,
Adams.
Flesher, Lauren Adams.
Flesher, Lord Adams. Why?
thought
Adams was
No,
last
no,
time.
it's not.
It's
Flesher,
it's just Flesher and
District
Lore.
5.
Fresher and
Two.
Lore. Yep.
2 and 4?
2 and 4. 1, 3,
So then
and
it's
5 are
just
left.
2 and 4 in the school district.
No. They're
No.
It's not. I thought they were
1,
on the
2, and
same.
4 in the school district. 2 and 4 in the commission.
Correct. Yeah.
And then in the
And
in the
and it's
city,
not
it's
one in the
those 3
commission?
people.
Yeah, it's 2 and 4 in the commission.
There's,
Yep. And then we have the
reelected.
governor race. There'll be mosquito control. There'll be hospital district seats. So it's going to be a lot on this ballot.
Who is who are we leaning towards when it comes to parental rights for governor? Now I know Byron Donalds, he's got the limelight and he's pulling ahead. He's killing everybody in the polls, but is there one that stands out to the work you've been doing?
So with
Jennifer?
our organization, yeah, we're not endorsing governor. That's above our
great.
pay grade of 0. So I can tell you, for me personally,
We should be able to endorse anyone then.
yes, we can with our 501c4, but let's see what we'll want to do. But this will happen in our reorganization meeting. This.
Oh
this
yeah,
can-
that's right. Well,
But for
we
me
elect our chair.
personally, I think the front runners are Byron Donalds, Paul Renner, Fishback. I hear a lot of people talking about Fishback, and
Fish guts.
Jay Collins. I've seen in every poll and all of the, I'm trying to be, objective and look. I think those are the 4 top runners for Republicans.
Bobby Williams, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bobby
He's-
Williams is 6 in that list. There's
Okay.
like the last time I looked, I looked up the top 6, and
Mhm.
There's 6 now.
Bobby
Wait, there's only
Williams.
5.
Well, it
Donalds.
depends where you're looking.
Runner. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a few.
Yeah.
He even said
Why
Bobby
do
Williams.
kids like Fishback? Can you explain that to me, Jennifer? You got
So he's
teenage college kids.
Yeah, so having a 20-year-old and a 17-year-old, he's on all like the socials. So he's on Instagram, he's on Snapchat, he's on TikTok, and he's saying all the appealing things to like your Gen Z. So he's going on Instagram, whereas these other guys are not doing a whole lot of that. You see Renner calling out Byron Donalds now for lying about voting for something he wasn't even in. Something so, and then Fishback, he's appealing to all of the younger demographics.
The
He's talking
Zoomers.
about housing. He's talking about wearing wearing school uniforms. He's talking about all of these, younger generational things. Whereas when you're looking at Byron Donalds and Paul Renner, who are, in Congress and in the House and things like that, they're talking about more legislative stuff. So I think for Fishback, he's appealing to like the younger demographics who are doing more with the social media, whereas the other guys, they're doing more of your Facebook, which is like our demographics, right? And X. And not so much of the Instagram. And this is what I'm hearing from my kids and their friends when we're talking about it, because a lot of like my son's friends, they just turned 18. This will be their first time voting. So this is what the conversations are happening. When they come over for games or we're having pizza or whatever, is that this guy, because they don't know much about politics, they see him all over socials, which he's absolutely killing it for that demographics.
That's an interesting thing, because you talked about housing affordable for that generation and different things like that. And that's a very Charlie Kirkian message. Mm-hmm. That's what Charlie Kirk was talking about. If you go watch that interview he did with Tucker, he said, if we don't fix this, these guys are going to go for the Mendamis of the world, because they're going to say to themselves, the American system does not work. And so now you have Fishback appealing to that within the construct of the American system, and how, because he does talk about affordability. Mm-hmm. And the reality of it is affordability can happen if we bring back the manufacturing here and the different things here, and cut a ton of this fraud out. We talked about this earlier. Yeah. And the money, because that's all inflationary. We're like, oh, inflation's 2.3%, 2.5%, because it wasn't under Biden. It was 7%, it was 9%, then 7%. Then, the governor talked about it today. It went up 25% in the last 5 years. And now 2.5% is a normal increase, when it used to be like 1.2, 1.3. So a whole point, we're having this inflation. So gas is holding steady at that $3 level, 280 or whatever, where in Trump's first term, it was dropping to the $1.99 with the same plan. So I'm like, well, what's going on here?
Yeah, well, we pay a little more tax.
In groceries, it always shows up.
Yeah. I think the whole thing with like Fishback and the social media, I think it's a testament to the party needs to adapt or die. We all have friends in the party, but if they don't make something move now, they're yesterday's generation already. So the amount of youth coming into the voting block, we hear Elon Musk talking about we're not reproducing enough anyways. So like each youth that enters that voting block is more valuable than the last generation. And if this Republican Party doesn't adapt, they're gonna lose it. Maybe not this midterm, but going forward, things got to change. And I think that's why they like Trump. Some like Trump, because even though most of them are executive orders, that you're seeing things happen now, like within hours of the stroke of the pen. And a governor like that could help ease the gas prices or make housing affordable, or do something like now to help insurance rates, because that's what I just keep hearing about. Auto insurance is through the roof, and homeowners insurance through the roof. It's not getting any better, no matter what they've tried. I don't know. That was one of the things DeSantis was supposed to spearhead, and haven't heard any good stories about it yet. So I think like Fishback, like TikTok and Instagram and stuff like that, when they, like our audience will hear Thomas and be like, yeah, that makes total sense. 1 point here, 2 point there, but the 20-year-old, the 18-year-old, they don't, they hear 294.
They hear affordability without the explanation of the.
Yeah, they hear 294 for gas or 1,500 for rent, and that they're getting that mindset they're never going to own a home. Right. Forget I'm lucky if I ever own a home again. And, it's just like, God forbid you cash in on equity nowadays as our generations. What are you going to do after that? Because you can't afford to do anything.
The 90s in a big city, I was paying the rent that people complain about now. So, it's always been this way. I think one of the things that I really can't stand is the term affordable housing, because I think it's a crock.
Yeah, there's no such thing as affordable housing.
No, there's housing, there's market prices, and
Right.
this if you continue to speak what is true about these things and just lay it simply, you know, then we're done. Affordable housing is code word for let the government subsidize. Well, how does that get
That's
subsidized? Well,
socialism.
obviously, it's taxes. Look what's going on in Virginia 50 new taxes. They're taxing people walking dogs specifically. They're taxing grooming of dogs. I mean, they're looking at everything you can do in pet care and giving it an individualized tax. They have 50 taxes.
And she was supposed to be moderate.
Electric gardening, and
That's insane.
she was never a moderate. All you had to do was look at the mask she wore during COVID, realize that woman wasn't a moderate. She was nuts.
She was a sheeple.
Exactly. She had a bag over her head with an oxygen breather through it. It was nuts.
You know, housing is never going to get better because a lot of these bigger corporations are buying the properties, they're buying the land, and they're buying it cheap,
Yep.
kind of like Venkatesh did. Him and all his partners put their money together, bought this property at dirt cheap, and that's what these big
Land
corporations do.
speculation. Yeah.
You know, and then they can sell it and make a ton of money on it, build what they want to build. And with all this new housing that the corporations are building, just think about it. They have pools in them now. They have, you know, amenities where you can have recreation, like a little recreation room. They have pools. They, you know, it's like I was just telling my husband yesterday, I said, whatever happened to brick and mortar? All you need is a freaking roof over your head, a decent sized home with footage to go home, feel safe. If you want to join the gym, go join a gym. If you want to, you know, have a tennis court in the back of your yard, go join a tennis court. You know, but to have all these amenities
Amenities.
in the housing now, and you don't have the choice between brick and mortar anymore because everything they are building has some sort of amenity attached to it. It jacks up the rent.
Well,
You know,
in Indian River County, your average age is what, 54? I mean, the city, it's like 54,
well, it's
55.
never going to get
Here around
younger.
here, it's 53. So it's housing here is geared towards older people with disposable incomes, and you know,
Well,
we
that's
had
not
we
going
had
to
Paul Renner.
last.
We had Paul Renner at the Republican Club, and Carol Jean Jordan got up and started talking about the property tax thing. She says because we're a residential county. Well, there's your
And
problem.
and that's going to hurt us in the long run because look, like where I work now, all the people that have been there for 35 years have pension plans. All the new people like me that came on board, there's no such thing as a pension plan. Even their pay scale is geared, their step pay is geared because of the pension plan. But the people that don't have that pension plan are not gaining from it, from their 401k like the pensioners are. And when they, by the time 25 years from now, if they stay on that pay scale that they're on, that step pay, their pay will only increase by $5.
An
And if you
hour?
look, yes, if
Oh
you
my
look
God.
at their step pay, it's horrible. Like the step pay is from 6 months to 1 year, then your next step pay is 3 years. Then your next step pay after that is 5 years. Then the next one, 7 years. And then the next one is 10 years. And then after that, it's 15
But for a
years.
total of
And
$5.
yeah,
Well, you're
it's
already priced
cents.
out of inflation,
It's
actually.
it's literally cents. So the way they're gearing this whole county, all these people that have lived here for decades, their minds haven't changed to realize that times are changing. We're this generation that's growing up is not going to have pension plans. So those retirements are going to be at risk of being low income retirements. And when you have low income retirements, you're not going to have, you know, a whole lot of money in this county anymore. And if you don't have a county that attracts young people to stay and build families, it's going to devour itself with nothingness. You know, what taxes are you going to get because you're relying on the people their rent and their homes, the people living here. So what's going to keep us here if we can't afford it? I mean, I can afford it now because I bought my house several years ago and my mortgage is below, $2,000. But to go rent a place here in Indian River County, it's like $2,000 or $2,500 right now. And who's making that? You need a rent for that. You just add it up how much rent you would be paying at 2,000. If it was $2,000 a month, that's $24,000 in rent alone. And
Well,
if you're
healthcare is
only
more than that.
and if you're only making $30,000, which a lot of people make in Indian River County, $40,000, and you need a car and you need health insurance, how are you going to keep the population growing and prospering? You can't. It's
And
eventually going to kill itself.
I will say though, the
And your
statistics.
job is in
I was going to say the
public
statistics in Indian River County though are slightly skewed though because
slightly.
of that population whose income is interest, not a salary. So some of those $30,000
Security.
some of those $30,000 incomes you're seeing are in zip codes where you're like, that's probably interest on their bank account.
Yep.
So I just by doing what we do on the marketing side, when we're looking at demographics, I can tell we're not looking
The
at all.
reporting is so skewed just because like the income they're reporting is either their Social Security, interest on bank accounts, things like that, and they live off that interest, or they live off of whatever, or the Social Security, and it's the homes are purchased
Through trust.
through trust and different things like that, and so
Yeah, there's a lot of money in this county. Yeah.
there's
Well,
a lot
there
of
is
money,
a
but
lot
it
of
ain't
money, but
in
it's
the county.
retired
It's
money.
over here.
It's retired money. It's not the working class money because the working
Right.
class people are not making enough to be sustainable over time with housing, and all these new developers that are building this housing, and then they want to do high density housing where you're living on top of each other. And I'm just like, how is that even possible? We are so polarized with each
But
other.
Joanne, you have 800,000 people coming in 1 year. That's how you do it. Hey, come have your dream home, 800,000 people.
No.
Cash out in the Northeast in New England. Cash out in New York. Cash out in D.C. Cash out in Chicago. Cash out in Michigan. Cash out, Philly. Wherever they've been making their dimes, man. And come down here, cash out. Because I can tell you right now, if you have your house go up here in 7 years, it doubles like mine did, 10 years. Mine doubled in 10 years. I can tell you right now in DC, it doubled in 7 years, and your house is 500,000 there. Now you got $1 million, $1.2 million. Okay.
Yeah, but when you leave your house, you got to move somewhere else.
If I come down here with $1.2 million in my pocket, and I buy a house for 300 grand, and have 700,000 to play with.
Yeah. That's how the migration happens.
That's how the migration, and I don't pay income tax, and I don't pay this and that. I don't pay some of these things. I pay property taxes. Yeah, I can do that, and then I can set up whatever with that 700 grand.
That's what happened during COVID. Everybody came down and they were paying cash for houses.
That's right.
Because they had all the money and they got rid of houses. Yep, houses up. And the people who lived here who were either trying to, get a bigger house or move into a newer house or something like that, they were getting outbid because people were coming with cash and everybody else had to get a mortgage. So, I think that, that was a big thing that happened during COVID as well.
If I'm in New York City with the Governor
prices.
Cuomo, if I'm in New York State with a Governor Cuomo who's getting people killed over a disease, I'm out of there, right? I'm cashing out. Bye. Because he's also driving my value down anyway. He's driving my property value down. He's driving all that down because of what they were doing during COVID. So I'm out. As soon as I can, I'm out because look, I can come down here. I don't need the headache anymore. The Sean Hannitys of the world, they all come down to the free state of Florida. That's their marketing arm now. We had all these conservative influencers show up here because of what DeSantis was doing during COVID. And you bet. They're like, yeah, I'm out. I know a
Okay.
guy who had talked to a guy on the phone one time who had 7 restaurants in the Chicago area. No, it was in Michigan. And they all closed down because they wouldn't let him open. And he came down here and opened up the restaurant. He says, I got out and I saw the writing on the wall, sold it all, got out, bought himself a home, started a restaurant in the Tampa area.
Well, you know, Thomas,
Clients.
we're getting ready to see another wave like that with Ma'am Danny in New York City.
I think his tax just kicked in
I
this
think
week.
Spansburger's gonna beat him to it. That woman's nuts. The electric bills went from 200. They approved the rates on Dominion Power, which it runs pretty much the state of Virginia when it comes to power, and the rates went from 200 a month on some people's homes up to over 620 bucks.
Wow. Oh my gosh. That's crippling.
And I just watched a video from DC News where I used to live in WJLA. Mr. Minock, who's on there doing reporting on the taxes. So he's interviewing the state senator in the Virginia Assembly, and he's like, well, Fairfax County, which is outside of DC, where all the DC federals live, and the federalists and all that, and Sponsberger and all these people, they're like, well, Fairfax is suffering, unfairly, is basically what he said. They're going to have to raise property taxes to keep up with all this growth and devaluations of their homes and stuff. And so they're suffering unfairly compared to the rest of the state. Well, I can tell you right now, it's always been known. There's Northern Virginia, and then there's what they call the Old Dominion, the rest of the state. Northern Virginia's, Arlington, Fairfax, Alexandria, are all around D.C. and Loudoun County. And that's the high tech, all that stuff, and the government contracting. And their wages are much more than the state. But now you're telling the state, hey, you have to pay for this little enclave up here. And I'm from up there. I know how it works. And so, I'm like, wow, these people are going to pit their citizens against each other. And there's always been an argument that it's like 65% of the income of that state comes from Northern Virginia. And they aim to tax the whole state so they can get their 65% back.
They voted for that.
They actually,
And I think,
never believe them.
yeah, right.
Yeah. Why do they fall for the lies any longer?
I think Florida should be able to charge impact fees based on your voting record from where you're coming from. Yeah.
I love that.
You guys are all about liberty until these people show up and start doing stupid stuff.
Yeah, because I want to make sure, just like the Trump card.
It's like, don't ma'am damn me.
Hey,
Nice
you want to pay for it? I'll sell it to you.
The only
But
way
you
you
gotta
win
prove
is be
you're worth it.
vigilant and vote as much as you can and get everybody out there, all your friends out there convinced that you got to outvote these people.
That's just it. And that's
Oh, by the way, for all you who
problem.
are
People will
wondering,
leave now and come to a state like Florida instead of stay there and fix it like they
Where
should
you
have the
voted.
last cycle.
Yep.
I think they
And that's
should
what we
stay
need
there
them
and
to
fix
do.
it.
We need them to fix their states now.
Yeah.
oh, Jennifer, just so you know, your favorite person, Jen Jenkins, did you hear what she did?
She dropped out and endorsed the other guy.
There you go. Yeah, 2 days ago,
Who did
she's
she
like,
endorse?
I'll 2 days ago she was on there. She's like, I'll arrest Pam Bondi, and after I flip this Senate seat, I'll arrest Pam Bondi or whatever. And then 2 days later, she's like, I'm dropping out of the race, and I'm endorsing Alexander Vindman. Who's Alexander Vindman? For those of you who don't know, Alexander Vindman is the guy who was the military dude who, in the
Lied.
perfect phone call, sat there and testified against Trump with Victoria Nuland. Alexander Vindman was the same guy after Kamala couldn't stop the war between Russia and the Ukraine, was making $15 million a year selling weapons back and forth. And
Doesn't he have a twin brother?
he does, or I believe he's.
Look at you with the facts.
Yeah, there you go. So he's a Floridian. He's a Florida resident. So the Democrats are like, Jen Jenkins ain't going to win jack. She's not going to flip nothing. She's going to flip a burger. And so therefore, we need someone in here with a little more notoriety. And So Democrats are beside themselves, and Jennifer Jenkins fell on her proverbial sword.
Yeah.
We could
Man.
do a whole series on that drama between
Jen
her.
Jenkins is a Spansberger with a brown hair.
Yeah, but the whole saga up there with Burns and
Yep.
Randy Fine and Jenkins, and it's just
Brevard's a mess.
it's a
Nut house.
And it's been since I was I was actually a member of the what is it called? It sounds really not good. The Brevard Young Republicans Federation, or Federation of Young.
Okay.
Young Republican Federation? Yeah, the
They have like
Yeah,
a women's Republican Federation. I
They
think
could
that's
federated.
Young
It's
Republicans.
Young Republicans Federated. Yes.
Oh, federated.
So they might have
Federated.
changed it. Yeah, because it still sounded like it was some kind of Soviet era, training camp or something. But I actually was a little involved, just a little. And back when Amy Kinsey was on the school board, I think she went on to some other elected positions, maybe county commissioner or something.
I don't know that name.
But yeah, it was before it was so contentious. But actually, no, it wasn't. It was just as contentious. It was just no social media back then, so nobody knew about it. That was when Brevard Public Schools had 2 administrators for every teacher in Vieira.
Oh,
So,
wow.
and it was horrible at
2
one point.
administrators for every
Yeah, that's a
teacher.
lot of staffing.
Well, there was 2, maybe not administrators, but there was 2 district employees, including administrators, for every teacher. It was unbalanced for a long time there, but
Well,
I
just
don't know
a
how it is
little.
now.
Why did they need that,
To grade tests. Now they have AI, so they should fire everybody.
So Jennifer, when's the next meeting for Family First?
Good question. We're trying to get a venue. Once we get a venue, we'll put it out on our socials. We'll put it out in our email list. So we're going to try to stick with the third Thursday because that was working for all of our volunteers. So as soon as we get a venue secured, hopefully within the next week, we'll put that information out there.
What about
Yeah,
the
and
one
when
place
you
you
get
guys used to meet at?
Yeah, so we meet at several places. We try to support small businesses, but
We're not sure if we
trying
can tell anybody where we meet yet. Because
Yeah,
Right,
we haven't
right.
got the back.
I
I don't
just
know
said
what the
that one
backlash will be.
yeah, just because we don't want to put anybody in harm's way. We're not scared of anybody, but we don't want protesters outside of a small business that's going to drive business away, and just people can't allow us to meet. The Democrats meet, the liberals meet, they have the protests every other weekend, but when a parental rights organization tries to get together, they protest outside the business. So we just do a secret meeting. It's been working for the past couple of years, and businesses aren't getting tons of emails and protests and all of this, manufactured drama, and we can meet and, get the work done and not have to have protesters out front. So
maybe the Unitarian Church will let us use their halls.
Oh, see, our opposition meets there, though, so I don't think that would happen.
That place is like a political mecca. I wonder how they stay in business.
Yeah.
It's funny how the left always,
run it
the
by hand.
opposition always wants to remind us what fascism looks like by acting that way.
Right.
Well, someone's got to define it.
Anyways, guys, thank you very much for coming on. And as soon as you get the more information, we're happy to pass it along. And anytime talk about it. As usual, you guys are always welcome. And we've gone way over tonight, but I appreciate you guys catching us up because there was a lot of good information you guys talked about. I wasn't here all night, but I was listening. So
did you get your house cleaned up?
Yeah, the house stayed clean until the wife got home. So I'm so far out of trouble, but there's still time.
I hope your eyes are good, because if they were my eyes, you'd be in big trouble.
See, Mike knows. Happy wife, happy life.
Yes,
He's a good man. A good man understands that.
Yeah, but we'll be back. I don't know if we'll be back next week. I'm not sure if we're back on the 6th. I think Joanne has prior engagements. We'll figure that out in between now and then. But in the meantime, catch up with us on ircmedia.net. And I put your link in the description, and it's also right here for anybody watching at home. If you're new to watching us, you can catch Thomas's Substack for free, or you can help him out and subscribe for a small monthly fee to get great articles, especially local here to Indian River County. It's gold because it's no one's reporting on the local subjects that matter like Thomas does. So
Well, thank
there's
you.
that.
Yeah, great
Hopefully
job.
we can get ourselves out there more in the future and spread that
Yeah.
vibe across the county, because
Well, we need
That
our
vibe.
viewers to do the clicks and the shares and to subscribe so that we can get bigger and better and join us at the Conspiracy Club on the second Thursday. We're going to be selling T-shirts there, right?
Now
Yeah, we do
remember,
have
it's a
t-shirts.
conspiracy club. We're not conspiring.
No, we're letting
No.
people bring their ideas of their conspiracies and talk about them. It's
There
really
you go.
great. It's a lot of fun.
And you can watch the crawl all night if you want. You can just mute us and watch the weather crawl.
Yeah, right. Oh, by the way, yep. Be warm, take care of your pets. I have a pet that will not come inside no matter how cold it gets. He's taken care of, but for those of you who don't have animals that are adaptable to the weather, take care of them. Screw the plants, take care of the animals. And
I hear those orange lizards are going to die, so I'm just
I
Well,
hope
if
excited
you
about
want
this.
to get rid of them, wherever they're hanging out, they're gonna freeze. Just pick them up. They'll fall out of the trees. Pick them up.
but
The
you got
orange
to pick
ones
them up and
actually
get rid of
die.
them.
They go into like a cardiac arrest.
Right.
Or something, and
Yeah.
that's
So,
it.
so if you see them laying anywhere,
Well,
get rid of them. Throw them
My
in the
father-in-law
iguanas-
said his is living near the water heater, though.
Yeah, the iguanas will wake back up. I don't know about those ugly looking lizards, but the iguanas will come back.
Yeah, the iguanas will come back.
The
They'll
ones
come
with
back,
the
but the other
orange
ones, I
tails
hope
will come
not.
back.
No, the
orange
ones
with
ones
tails.
with the orange heads and the tails and the females, they die.
Oh, they
Oh,
do?
Yes.
that's great,
I think if
because
it's below
they're
freezing, they die.
cute.
My wife sent me a thing about that, and they're just a nuisance anyway.
Oh,
Yeah.
you should share that to the Indian River Connections page, because they were never out here where I'm at in Fellsmere.
No,
I always
they're
saw
all
them
over,
down there
right?
in Vero or by 95, and now they're driving
They're
my
everywhere.
dogs crazy. Yeah. They're big
Yeah.
enough to drive the dogs crazy.
All right. Well, I got to go catch the movie at Melania Trump's movie tonight
Ooh,
at AMC.
there you go.
My
Oh,
date.
Please
so
watch
we'll
it with
get
an
a movie
objective
review.
eye.
Huh?
Please watch it with an objective eye and report back to us.
Yeah. I'm actually excited to go see it.
Could be IRC Media's first movie review.
Ooh, okay, there you
There you
go.
There you go. I'll take
Joanne
there
that.
Pippin,
you
the
go.
Gene Shalit of
I haven't
IRC
been on a
Media.
date with my husband in a while. I don't know. I might just be, hugging and snuggling and eating
He's
popcorn.
taking you to a literal girl movie.
Yeah, that's a man.
Aw.
He's smart. Say, happy wife, happy life.
Hey, me and Elisa went to the
Good
Housemaid
job,
2
John.
weeks ago.
That was a good movie.
I suggest it to any husband.
What movie?
Take your wife to the Housemaid, and I'll leave it at that.
All right.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Good night.
I don't know
Thank
whether
you.
to trust you. Bye.
Have a good night. Sydney Sweeney's in the movie, Thomas. Go see the Housemaid.